Hi, my name is Isabella Norris-Lander, and this is my reflection video on the body rituals among the Nazarima. Let's get into it. So the first time that I was exposed to this piece, I was in my sophomore year of high school, and I was taking a course at our local university. It was a sociology class, and I remember my professor handing us out this paper and told us we were going to be studying this culture and then he listed some random place and was like, I want you guys to really focus on the details here and what you think, really try to inspect it and imagine this being your way of life. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm reading through it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy, for lack of a better way to say it. I mean, medicine potions from magic doctor people and these mouth rite rituals to stop my jaw from falling off, or rejection from lovers. I just remember thinking wow, this is so strange, and just couldn't quite wrap my head around it. But we ended up having a whole class discussion, and we all kind of said some things that we noticed and just how peculiar it would be for that to be our way of life. And then my teacher exposed that it was a satire piece, essentially on American culture, and I just remember my jaw dropping to the floor. I was like, there's just no way. And he highlighted how we get medicine from doctors that come in special bottles, and how we brush our teeth to make sure that people like the way that we look, and it stops us from getting gum disease, which could lead to jaw loss, and all these different things. And my mind was just I had never considered how strange some of our cultural practices are to people who have never engaged in American culture. And after kind of reflecting on some of the questions for this assignment, I was thinking through what are some common practices in culture here in America that would seem kind of strange to people who are outside of our culture. And I was really thinking about cell phones and kind of that technology piece, and how if I were not somebody who, as long as I can remember, had a cell phone in our house, or, my parents had cell phones, and then as soon as I was old enough, I had a cell phone, and my nieces and nephews have cell phones, all these different things, just how weird that would be from the outside looking in. We have these boxes that we spend hours glued to. We engage in social media to keep track of what people are doing, and I just was thinking through even at lunch, people stop eating to take pictures of their food to post to their social media platforms, and just how strange that would be. And kind of looking at the history of technology and cell phones, and particularly social media, that's a fairly new thing. Before, people would write letters or make phone calls from a home phone, even all different kinds of things. It was a lot more face-to-face interaction, which is quite frankly a rarity today. More often than not, people are willing to text you or call you rather than meet with you face-to-face and sit down and talk about something. And letter writing seems to be something that takes forever and doesn't really feel worth the time that you put into writing a letter, when you could just send a quick little text and it's no big deal. So I thought that was really interesting. But social media kind of started blowing up in the early 90s and 2000s as developers started developing platforms, and MySpace really took off and was one of the biggest pushes into social media trends. And now we have platforms like Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and Twitter and all these different things that we use to engage in communication without ever seeing somebody face to face. And that's just not how it was. And now we keep tabs on people's lives through pictures on our phone. And I just can't imagine how strange that would be if you had never experienced that, if you didn't know what social media was, how wrapped up our lives can be in those things. When I was thinking through, is this something beneficial or detrimental to U.S. culture, I really had a hard time coming up with a conclusion, because I feel like it's both. I did a little bit of research and came across the site, Lifespan, which is a healthcare-focused website, really doing research to figure out what's okay and what's not. And they did a piece on social media usage and it was talking through how social media has the capacity to be a promoter, so people with small businesses, different things like that, different healthcare services can be promoted and sent out to people in a super large way, which wouldn't have been a thing you could do 50 years ago. It would have been newspapers and articles, but not everybody had access, and today so many more people have access to that kind of information, and just at the touch of our fingertips we can look something up really quick and find out what it is right away. You don't have to go to somebody who knew somebody about something. Like, we can pull up research and all kinds of stuff through our technology and through our social media. However, this website also hinted at the fact that people today are more likely to struggle with depression and anxiety, and a lot of times it's going to be an increasing usage of social media. So kids, even younger, are starting to use it and can be really, according to research, addictive. Like, it does, in fact, change the mechanisms and functioning of your brain, so that when you see posts that you like, your brain is firing that way and you start to become almost addicted to it. And a lot of people struggle with self-image issues because in social media, more often than not, people are posting the best of who they are on their social media. So it is just one of those things that are really tricky to identify, like, is this good or is this bad? And I don't think that that's something that I can decide. I know that everything in life comes down to discipline and just limitations. So not engaging in social media all the time, or having limits on when you do it, where you do it, why you're doing it, and really having a heart posture that's focused on, is this good for me? And if it's not, allowing that something to be trimmed out of your life. But the reality is it's a huge part of American culture, and so you have to understand that in order to get rid of that, you will be on the outside of culture. And that's something that's difficult, but if that's what you need to do for yourself, then that's what's important. But this is my reflection on the piece. Thank you so much.